First month of sobriety, recovery, removing addiction from your life. Here we go. I quit drinking about 5 years ago, and I'm glad I never stopped quitting drinking 5 years ago. But my first month of getting sober, I had some assistance. I already tried to quit many years, many times, all my own way, on my own time, everything about the way I thought I should quit. And I failed every single time. So I wasted a lot of time. But my most successful time was the time that I let people in. I asked for help. I talked to someone. I got people together and I was like, I got to go somewhere. I can't do it on my own. I can't slow down. I can't drink any less. I need to go somewhere. And these are some of the places. And I had some support and I reached out for that support in confidentiality. That was the way I wanted to do it. And then I started, my first month was in a center and thank God, because I was able to had some medication, because if you are I was very alcoholic dependent. And every time I did try to quit, I had like a traumatic experience. I was seizuring. It was getting really unsafe. And I was drinking past the point of, I was surprised I was waking up anymore. So it was very, very, very dark times. Anyway, that first month I had that assistance with the medications. I was in the facility where I just had to focus on not drinking. I just had to focus on feeding myself, going to bed, going to a meeting, and I had people to talk to. Now, when I had that medication helped me simmer a little bit, and that helped me a lot, because I think what was traumatic about me trying to quit on my own all the time was exactly that. Doing it alone was like going through that pain of not drinking after completely boozing the day before was excruciatingly painful, that then I had to go drink. Then I didn't know how to not drink anymore. Like I would quit the next day and try to go cold turkey. And then I would be suffering all day alone, trying to do this all by myself. Like none of my family and friends knew I was trying to quit drinking. And then I would crash, I would break, and I would go get alcohol because my body just couldn't take it anymore. And I would drink and feel guilty and feel so bad and be so upset with myself and so depressed, and then I'd go back and drink. And I did that for a long time. But when I was in the center, I had that medication help me fizzle out. I had the people, I had the connections, and I could just focus on the one thing, which was just to stop drinking and go to a meeting. And that was really nice to just focus on those few things, and I was very insecure, very nervous, very untrusting. I could not write. I could not read. I could not talk without my voice crackling. People would ask me questions and I was kind of stunned for a while, like a deer in the headlights. Like my brain was so mush, but my feelings were like crazy everywhere. Like I was really overwhelmed and felt full of shame and felt an urgency to do something a lot. And so that's what I could let you know is what to expect possibly if you're trying to quit drinking like that first month. And I'm glad I stayed quitting drinking. I've approaching 5 years now and it's amazing. But the first month is just like a real eye-opener into a completely different existence of living. And I had to focus on like, what do I do now? I had to learn and get a plan going and get a network going and people and start working on the AA program and steps. But at the same time, that first month was relieving to know that I had the answer, that I had the answer that I was alcoholic. Because I was always like, what the heck's my problem? What's going on with me? And like, oh, okay. And so I'm alcoholic. And that was a relief to know that. And then to just be talking with people that just have all the same stories as me and the same things and the same feelings and being like, oh, okay, like it's okay that I'm like this. I've just got stuff to process. I got stuff to work through. I'm not bad for my feelings and what I've done and who I am. I just feeling bad for everything, but I don't have to feel awful and shameful about myself forever. Like this stuff is my past. And if I'm going to change and become better, that's not going to be who I am anymore. I loved the meetings, and I've always loved recovery, and I dove right in and I committed to it. And I'm glad for that, because I could have tiptoed and just did it a little, and I just wouldn't have had the recovery that I have today if I kind of would have been slack about it or didn't go all in. I'm really glad I did go all in at the beginning. I'm really glad because if anything, I just would have learned less, taken longer, and maybe had more hardship than I had to by just kind of dilly-dallying and wasting time. I had to fully commit and take that time to meditate on that commitment. But the first month is like lots of ups and downs and all arounds, like really exciting, like feeling like a kid again, but also sensitive like a kid, and very reactive and very emotional. And I was an adult feeling like that and was like that. So it's just like I had really inflated expectations, and that I didn't. I wanted everybody to treat me a certain way and be a certain way, and I had to figure out how to handle how everyone was going to treat me, and that they didn't think I was a different person, but I thought I was a different person. And that was a bit of a shock too, was that like, I thought, well, I'm doing better but it took time for everybody else to kind of trust that I was changing. But I wanted that trust right away, but that was disappointing for me that it didn't come right away. And to be expected, 1 month or even the first year is not a lot of time to get your stuff together. So my expectations were super high in the beginning for how I wanted everybody to treat me. And so I didn't have to feel bad or feel my pain, right? Like I had to learn how to get used to feeling, and that's really overstimulating. So my first month, that's kind of how it went. And yeah, it was great to start off in a center. That's what I needed. So highly recommend it. Okay. Talk to you later. Bye.